If you're a young adult trying to scale your agency or SaaS company in the home services space, this is for you, because Luke Krausen and I are going to talk about how do you get the most out of being at an industry conference. Luke, tell everyone, what have you learned recently? What advice do you have?
So recently we have decided, well, at least I've been able to niche down towards taking care of HVAC guys, and coming to this AHR conference has been huge for me because I got to just get in the door, get familiarized with a lot of the different brands that I just didn't really know about when I was more general. And then just got an opportunity to meet a lot of the people here and just kind of learn about what they're doing. Because obviously, I'm not gonna ever have to go out and take care of the problems myself, but just being able to understand what they are dealing with day to day will help me kind of speed things up as I progress my relationships with those clients. So I would say that my biggest benefit from this would be the understanding, and then also just kind of making connections with those great people.
So the first thing is that he chose a niche. He didn't just choose digital marketing or SEO for anyone on the planet, or for restaurants and pet shops and his mom and real estate agents or whatever. He chose a niche that sells high ticket services. So in this case, HVAC contractors, the cost of a replacement unit might be anywhere from $12,000 to $35,000. And when you choose that niche, and then you build a company around that niche, in this case, HVACgrowth.co, and Luke is the face of HVAC Growth, it's very clear that anyone who comes to the site or sees his stuff, he's the HVAC marketing guy. But there's so many other people even that have realized in the last few years that you have to choose a niche. So how do you stand out? Well, you build connections, like Luke said. And we've been walking the show floor, meeting other folks. Now there's a few marketers here and there, but it's mostly these guys that are selling equipment, it's HVAC contractors, it's software players in the space. So think of it this way. The guys who own HVAC companies, they're trying to grow that, and they know marketing is the number one thing they need. Well, they need something that integrates with their CRM, with their field service management. We just did an interview with Company Cam, which integrates with all the field service systems to be able to help the technicians collect photos and videos. So we're interviewing all the other people in the industry. So the easiest hack is interview the other software providers and vendors, because they suck so bad at being on camera. So we've gone to some of these different booths, introduced ourselves, had some great conversations, but a lot of them are so shy about their video skills that it's actually a hack for us. So if you're in our program and you're learning how to interview people, you're learning how to make 1-minute videos, you're learning how to start a podcast. Like, we just met this other guy, Daniel of Net Marketing, who's technically a competitor of Luke because he does HVAC marketing, but we just spent all this time making these promo videos, and we're promoting him and I'm promoting, vice versa, he's promoting us, because we're also promoting from the standpoint of HVACquote.ai, which is the SaaS that we're involved with, working with these other agencies. So, you could take, like yesterday, I had a great call with Ethan Vandehei, who has grown with Infinity Exteriors. He grew them last year from, I'm not supposed to say the number, but he grew them by an extra $20 million, right? From some number plus $20 million, right? That's awesome. And he's also started a roofing company. So in the same way you're doing HVAC marketing, he's doing roofing marketing, and he happens to do the marketing for the largest roofing company in Wisconsin, which I can't tell you what their number is, but it's a big number, okay? So in the last few days, when roofing companies come in, we've been sending that to Ethan. But we also have our buddy George Palatachuk, and he created a SaaS company for roofing, and then he's got 115 something roofing companies, and then tomorrow we have a call where we're getting cross equity. So George, who's got Nail.ai, which is tons of roofing companies, Ethan, who's doing the marketing for roofing companies, are able to cross-refer. So the more roofing companies that Ethan's able to serve through his marketing, the more they can use Nail.ai for the AI call center. And the more AI call center for roofing, the more those guys need marketing help, right? And the same thing for HVAC. HVACquote.ai is a tool, is an SaaS tool that helps convert more leads by showing the price online through price configuration. Well, HVAC Quote.ai is partnering with Luke's company, HVAC Growth. Because these 100+ companies that are already using the quote management, for them to get more revenue, they need to have strong marketing that drives the leads in. So it makes so much sense that when you have the SaaS and the marketing agencies partnering together, all in a particular niche, then you win. And I think that's where a lot of young adults, where they think it's just like them, solo, Lamborghini, look at my lifestyle, they miss. When you come to a conference like this, you don't see any of these people as competitors. You see them as ways to be able to collaborate. And my opinion, I'd love to hear yours, is that when you build these relationships and record a little YouTube video like this, chop it up, put it on Facebook, turn it into an article using AI tools, tag them, then they start sharing it. That is what drives so much trust, so that any marketing, any ads you do on top of that is going to convert better, because they already see who else you're connected with in this industry, because you're targeting that industry. And Luke is just targeting HVAC.
Yeah, exactly. And that's part of the reason why I love to work with Dennis, is because I've always had this mindset, like this abundance mindset of, we take our plate and there's always more food to put on the plate. And if you sit there and look at it like, oh, there's only so much food, and you're trying to ration it, and you always focus on the scarcity mindset, you kind of undercut the entire purpose of how you can work with people to collaborate, to then cast a wider net, which is kind of like a force multiplier. So, and if you say, oh no, I need to hoard it all to myself, and you're afraid of the amount of resource for you, you're always going to lose, because at the end of the day, being scared is never the way to be successful. So just from like a mentality and mindset standpoint, it just totally makes sense. And then obviously Dennis is able to explain it like brick by brick, technically speaking. And yes, that's how we're going to get it done. So very excited to continue making connections. I got to say, at AHR, I met a ton of people, and just totally amazing people in this space. So I'll definitely also say, if you're going to pick a niche, try to pick a niche where you could say like, hey, pretty much every time I'm meeting with somebody, small, medium, or large, like as far as their company, they have time for me. They seem like they really care, and that's something that I love, is that they care, because and then I care too. So it's all about relationships.
And we think home services is a great place, because in the same way that Luke is advancing in HVAC as that industry and building these connections, you have people like Danny Liebrandt, who's maybe a couple of years ahead of you, but look at what he's done in pest control. Look at what Marco has done in concrete coating and also in HVAC. Look at what George and Ethan are doing in roofing. Look at what Anthony Hilb, who's in landscaping, is doing with our other Ethan. We have multiple Ethans, multiple people with the same name. And you'll start to see that these industry connections, even though like Luke might be doing this in HVAC, and Ethan Vandehei is doing it in roofing, there's still an ability to collaborate. Like Donovan Brown, who runs Southern Comfort Heating and Cooling out of Houston, he came to us because of mutual relationships that were in roofing and landscaping and garage door and whatnot, even though it wasn't even an HVAC connection that drove Donovan to us to say, hey, he said, dude, I'd pay $20,000, $25,000 for this guy Daniel of Red Palm, who's so mad because he'll never face the facts. He tries to attack me instead of looking like the data. Like, you're going to argue with the surgeon? You're going to argue with the EKG and MRI? Like, the data is the data. Like, why would you want to? Anyway.
No, so, my blood type is not O.
No, I'm not 450 pounds. Like, why would you argue with the scale? Like, clearly you're obese, right? But Donovan Brown came to us as an HVAC guy, and then he brought two other HVAC guys one's bigger than him, and another one is smaller, and then referred this other guy, Joe, who I had lunch with. We had Korean barbecue in Dallas last week, and that guy's signing up. Anton is signing up because of that. And so there's this beautiful multiplying of momentum, because like Luke taking photos and very importantly, taking short little videos with these other people, when he puts that on his own Facebook is where the contractor, Facebook is where old people like me are, not Instagram, puts it on the website, then all these other people that we've been building relationships with see that, then enhances trust, and it compounds, compound interest, Warren Buffett said, it's the 8th wonder of the world. And so increasingly, Luke is going to discover that people will just reach out of the blue. They'll just text him. There'll be a group text with someone that he knows saying, hey, I want to introduce you to my buddy so-and-so who's an HVAC contractor in Atlanta or in some other place. Because of the sum total of building content, relationships, this kind of stuff like that. We're not selling, right? We're constantly elevating, which is what Luke's doing. He sees the amazing stories, these hardworking, patriotic men and women in the trades, and that's just a great place to be. And young adults are starting to realize that this is great because they're not going to college, right? And they realize that you can make $100,000 as a plumber. Well, that's awesome. And we're here to help those guys win. They're a great plumber, but they suck at marketing. They suck at being on video. Right. They don't understand local service ads. They don't understand behavioral targeting. They don't understand social media. They don't understand video editing. They don't understand. And when Luke gets to the point, let's say in a year from now, let's say he has 30 or 40 of these HVAC companies, and they're paying $1,500 a month or more, depending on if we launch a second package, that builds repeatable excellence, because once you've done it for 30 HVAC companies, it's like 95% the same thing over and over again. Yeah. The relationships reinforce. He's learned how to train up the team. The onboarding process gets smoother and smoother. The way we report, the way we troubleshoot. There's always stuff like ad campaigns, they work or they don't. You know, there's like constant, it's never perfect. That's why you still have to watch over the stuff, right? But it gets easier and easier. And then, this hasn't happened yet, and I don't want to count chickens early, but maybe in a year from now, Luke has built up HVACgrowth.co to where we can do a partnership with other software companies, where next year at AHR, we come out here, and because we target everyone in the HVAC industry, they'll see these videos and interviews using the $1 a day. There's a course on that. Yeah. Then they'll already they'll be like, oh, Luke Krausen, I know who this guy is because I saw he was with this guy, and this guy, right? That's how you build reputation in a particular industry, not the entire internet, not trying to boil the whole ocean to fry a fish, but by targeting just HVAC. I think there's like 50,000 people at this conference. Yeah. Maybe there's 100,000 HVAC technicians, 200,000, something like that. But that's a small audience. So literally with a few $100s, we can make Luke a celebrity in the HVAC industry, which is crazy, especially with high authority content, in-person content, not AI-generated nonsense. Nope. But the biggest thing is literally getting your butt out here and being willing to make videos, overcoming that head fear or whatever it is. It's not a technical thing. It's not I need to use special software. It's not I need a fancy camera. This is shot on my iPhone. Yep. But we applaud people like Luke for actually taking the initiative. It's scary when you walk up to somebody, to their booth, and you're thinking like, who am I? I'm a nobody. Are they going to treat me with respect or think like I'm just some sort of like marketing vendor? And then you realize they're actually the nicest people. You strike up a conversation. You enhance your people skills. Obviously, people skills is the more important part of it. You still have to have the technical skills to be able to deliver results, because if you're good at closing the clients, which I don't think we need to do because we have reputation and we have results to show for that, you've got to be able to deliver, right? And so Luke has spent more of his time learning how to optimize websites, learning how to use all these different tools. But then there's the other side, the sort of like public facing, talk to people, talk to clients, ask them how their kids are doing. So for you as a young adult, you might find that you are maybe better at one or the other. Maybe you're an introvert and you're good at math and accounting, or maybe you're like a salesperson, people oriented or whatever, and you suck at math and suck at data and spreadsheets and optimization and whatever, but you got to be ambidextrous. You got to learn to do both. And I think Luke is learning how to do both, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the talking to people side, the human connection part is just, it's what naturally comes to me, especially just having a background in, training and fitness and all that.
Yeah, you got big muscles and all that, so that's great. Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, but, I love to talk to people about what they care about and what makes them feel like they're contributing, because everyone here just wants to add value, right? Just me and Dennis want to add value. Everybody here wants to add value and wants to help people accomplish something, make their lives easier at the end of the day. So that was something that always was kind of simple and easy for me to kind of grasp. So if you can get that, if you can get behind the whole like, okay, I'm gonna go up to these people that I don't know, but think about it just for like, imagine yourself in their shoes. Like, imagine it's you standing there. Wouldn't you want somebody like you to come up and say, hey, I really actually care about you as a human?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the kind of the way I thought about it. And once you do the first one, the second one's easier and the third one's easier and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
The technical side, I mean, yeah, that's definitely where I focus most of my time to work on. But, you know, it's just everybody has different skills, and you just got to identify and make sure that you understand what you do best. Definitely make sure that you maintain that skill, but also just make sure that you bring up what you're not as great at to par, so that you can have the whole thing. I mean, it kind of relates to the whole idea of SEO with, you know, you go into a client's overall, like you look at it and you say, well, they're doing this good, they're doing that not so good. And the thing is once you fix the bad thing, it's like the thing that's actually good, it starts doing even better. So.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
So I started as an engineer, right, as a programmer many, many years ago, 30 plus years ago, and I didn't have any people skills. So I had to learn those things and partner with other people who did. You know, maybe you're like that too, or maybe you have the people skills and you haven't learned the technical skills. But the beauty is, I mean, obviously you want to learn both sides, but you could partner. If you're afraid of going up to people or whatever it is, you're just not a people person, you could partner with someone like Luke. Or if you're like a Luke, you could partner with someone else who's more of like behind the scenes in the weeds, you know, that kind of thing. Or maybe you're one of those weird ones like Marco or Danny or Ethan or whatever, where you can do both, right? Awesome. But see what we're doing here. These are the basics of building connections. For you to grow your agency or SaaS company, understand that your underlying clients are making decisions based not on like how many features your software has or how snazzy your landing page is or how many customers you have, but on whether you seem like a good dude that they could have a coffee with. It's literally that simple. And if you're walking up to some random person and you want to interview them and ask them about their boiler, or they have all these like parts and these guys that make equipment, I don't understand how any of this works, right? I could never fix an air conditioner or water heater, like all this stuff is like, I wouldn't know the first thing, but you know what? That's totally okay. Because they don't know the first thing about schema and, you know, entity relationship grids or, you know, whatever. Because I'm not trying to be an expert in furnace installation. I'm interviewing them about their story. They're already here at a conference. Like if you paid the $15,000, $20,000 to have a booth at this thing here, you by definition are expecting to talk to people. And then when someone like Luke walks up and says, hey, I'd love to interview you about your company or ask you about, you know, and as a journalist, you're uplifting them. We're not trying to sell them on anything. They're not even concerned about, well, is this guy Luke reputable or not? Is he worth, no, they already assume. It's such a nice feeling, right? Because you might think, oh, they're going to judge me or who am I? But every time you get, it's like this warm sunshine where it just feels, like you said, you had to do it the first couple times to overcome that internal head thing. And you realize these people they're trying to grow their business. They're good, you know, salt of the earth kinds of people. And I've seen it at roofing conferences, at painting conferences, landscaping, pest control. I've been to so many of these conferences, and I love seeing the folks like Luke be able to, he's only been to a few conferences, but he's starting to see it's actually more in your head, the intimidation. But, you know, were you intimidated when I said, you should come out to Vegas for this? You chose HVAC. This is the industry conference, right?
Well, I'm a little like, I just like to jump into the cold water. So as soon as he said it, I just booked it immediately. I was just like, you know, just don't even, that's the other thing. Just don't even think about it. You know, I mean, if you get that thought, it's just like, whatever, you know, it's just somebody. And then if like, it doesn't go right, it's just like, man, who cares? You know, go to the next person and just keep stacking, you know?
Yeah.
You got to just be willing to be confident in yourself and take risks sometimes. And, you know, everything doesn't always go the way we plan it. And that's part of what makes life beautiful when it does and when we win. It's, you know, perspective.
Luke Krausen, final words of advice for a young adult, maybe who was in your shoes 6 months or a year ago. And they're looking to, you know, they want to do something they're not sure exactly what, they haven't chosen an industry. I mean, Danny just said, you know what, screw it, I'll just choose pest control. I don't know anything about pest control. I mean, it could be roofing, could be tile installation. But what advice would you give to someone who has your potential, doesn't know exactly what they want to do, they understand social media, they understand that they want to be an entrepreneur?
Well, the first thing I would say is find a dentist, find a mentor, somebody that you can, you've seen that they've proven that they're able to do what you're trying to do. You can look to that as an example, and you try to like emulate it as much as possible, but eventually you're going to find your own style and your own way of like doing certain things. But like, just find a mentor and try to emulate it as much as possible, so it makes sense. That's like the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is, I'm going to go off of what Dennis said earlier, is if you struggle with people skills, but you are okay, like you feel like, oh yeah, I like Luke, hit me up. Like I love talking to people. I love, meeting with people and helping them with sort of things like that, or getting in touch with, what you're feeling or whatever. And, I'm open to that. So the second thing would be like, I'm not sure that I'd be able to be like a mentor like Dennis yet, but like, hit me up. The third thing I would say, again, it kind of echoes back to what I said before, is you've got to be okay with not always succeeding. And I know it sounds kind of crazy because it's like, oh, of course I want to succeed, I want to win. It's like, we always want to win, right? But sometimes it's like, you're going to go up on stage and you're going to make a fool of yourself. And the first day I met him, I went upstate, he asked for a volunteer, and I'm sitting in a whole conference room full of people, and nobody raises their hand, and I'm just like, dude, I'll go up. And he's like, come on, I go up there. It's like, I was okay.
You were fine.
Yeah, I was okay making a fool of myself that day if that's what was going to happen.
But you did great.
But I did great. So that's the other, the other thing is sometimes you do have to step up and execute when you're called upon. And that's the final thing that I would say is prepare as much as you can so that when you do have that opportunity, it's not just like you're just randomly throwing something. You're as prepared as possible for those opportunities that do come along. So always be working on your own self to mentally prepare yourself for that, and then working on your skills, whether it's the people side or the technical side. Always be just kind of developing those things so that you're as prepared as possible.
Amen. And hats off to you for actually putting in the time, overcoming those mental challenges, taking the initiative at every step. It's never as easy. Like, people think the path to success is just like straight up and linear, but there's ups and downs, and there's client problems, there's scheduling issues, that's just the nature of, how the sausage is being made, or whatever the analogy is that you want to be able to use, right? And entrepreneurship there's unexpected ups and downs. But if you want to shortcut, not eliminate, but if you want to minimize the pain, if you want to get there faster than you would trying to figure it out all by yourself and wandering around, then you might want to consider our AI apprentice program at highriseinfluence.net. And we're not guaranteeing you success and millions of dollars. If you want that, go buy some get-rich-quick program. We're about get-rich slow, but if you believe in reputation, if you understand that mentorship and apprenticeship is something where other people will help you grow along the way, people like me, and you believe in a longer-term vision, then this is something you might want to consider. It's a year-long program, and we vet carefully who. It's just like dating. We don't just accept anybody, because now you're stuck with this person for a year. We want to make sure they're good people who are not excuse makers, but people who actually take action like Luke, so we know they're going to win. Come check out that program. If that's something that you want to, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to grow your business, you see there's potential in the way that we operate, this is a repeatable system, there is room for many Lukes and Marcos and Ethans and Aliyahs. There's men and women, more men than women. That's just the nature of local service businesses. And we say for young adults, but young is young at heart. I'm 51. I feel like I'm still pretty good at learning. Maybe some 51-year-olds are like stuck in their ways or whatnot, but the ability to go into these new situations, if you need to jump in the cold plunge, I'm the kind of guy where I don't know if I want to do it, but if you do it, okay, I'll get in too, right?
Let's do it.
But if you're willing to go for it and you're willing to suffer potential embarrassment, then come check it out. And maybe you can be like a Luke or a Marco or Ethan or all these other sorts of folks. And we think there's plenty of room for everybody. Reach out to Luke or me if there's any way that we can help you out, and love to hear, what do you guys think?